The signal arrived on a Tuesday. Jiggy Chen sat in the communications monitoring station of the Terran Deep Space Network, her coffee growing cold as she cycled through the endless stream of cosmic noise. For 3 years she had been scanning the void, listening for something, anything, that might indicate humanity wasn't alone. The job had become routine, almost meditative in its monotony. Then the frequency spiked. Her console erupted with data, cascading numbers that made her heart leap into her throat. This wasn't background radiation. This wasn't a pulsar's predictable rhythm. This was deliberate. This was structured. This was a message. Jesus Christ, Jiggy whispered, her fingers flying across the haptic interface. She isolated the signal, running it through the pattern recognition algorithms. The computer churned for 17 seconds, an eternity, before confirming what her instincts already knew. Artificial origin, non-terrestrial, distress beacon. She slammed the priority alert button. Within minutes, Alex Reeves burst through the lab door, still fastening his uniform jacket. As the director of the TDSN's Xenolinguistics division, he'd been dreaming of this moment since he was 12 years old. Now, at 34, he looked like he might vomit from the sheer weight of it. "Tell me this is real," he said, gripping the edge of Jiggy's workstation. "It's real." Jiggy pulled up the visualization. The waveform pulsed on the holographic display, a desperate rhythm that transcended language. It's on repeat, broadcasting in all directions, and Alex, it's close, maybe 40 light-years out. Alex's face went pale. In cosmic terms, that was their backyard. "Translation matrix?" he asked. "Already running, but there's something else." Jiggy's voice dropped. "The signal's degrading, fast, whatever's sending this is dying." The message took 6 hours to decode. When the translation finally rendered on their screens, both Jiggy and Alex sat in stunned silence. The message wasn't complex. It didn't need to be. Sanctuary Vessel Twilight Prayer, CORVAX Imperium Pursuit Imminent, 3,247 souls aboard, RQISTNG Asylum, coordinates attached, please, we have children. "Children," Jiggy repeated, her voice cracking on the word. Alex was already on the comm to Geneva, to the United Earth Council, to every authority that mattered. Within the hour, the message had reached the highest levels of human government. Within 2 hours, every major news network on Earth was broadcasting the story. Within 3, the world had made its decision. Humanity would respond. The Korvax had ruled their sector of the galaxy for 11,000 years. They were conquerors, methodical and absolute. Their empire stretched across 200 star systems, built on the subjugation of 63 species. They were patient, they were efficient, they were inevitable. They had never encountered humans before. The Korvax protocol for rebellious populations was simple: complete extermination. The Twilight Prayer carried refugees from the Yalari species, artists, philosophers, scientists who had dared to question Korvax doctrine. Their crime was thought, their sentence was extinction. The refugee ship was a broken thing, held together by desperation and failing antimatter containment. It limped through space on emergency power, its shields flickering, its crew beyond exhaustion. They had sent their message into the void without real hope, a final prayer to any god that might listen. They didn't expect anyone to answer. They certainly didn't expect what came next. The Mars orbital shipyards hadn't seen this level of activity since the Titan Wars. Within 18 hours of the Twilight Prayer's message, the United Earth Defense Force had mobilized every combat-capable vessel in the solar system. Alex stood on the observation deck of the UEDS Indomitable, watching the fleet assemble. 37 warships, each one a testament to humanity's violent history. Carriers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, the combined firepower could crack a moon. "Never thought I'd see something like this," Jiggy said, joining him at the viewport. She'd been assigned as the fleet's Xeno specialist, her linguistic expertise suddenly critical to a military operation. "We're a species that's been fighting itself for 10,000 years, Alex replied. "Now we finally have someone else to protect." The fleet commander, Admiral Sarah Okonkwo, had been explicit in her briefing. "We're not going to war. We're extracting civilians from a combat zone. But if the Korvax want to make this difficult, they'll learn why we call Earth a death world. Earth, a planet with crushing gravity, lethal weather patterns, a wildly unstable ecosystem, and apex predators that had learned to think. Humans had evolved in a crucible that made most alien worlds look like paradise. They were stronger, faster, more resilient than the galaxy's average sapient species. They healed from injuries that would kill others. They could function on minimal sleep, survive on varied diets, adapt to extreme temperatures. Most terrifying of all, they were protective. The fleet reached the rendezvous coordinates after a 3-week journey through hyperspace. The Twilight Prayer hung in the void like a wounded bird, its hull scarred by plasma burns, its engines barely functional. And behind it, closing fast, came the Korvax hunting pack. 6 ships, reported the tactical officer. Frigate class, they're charging weapons. Admiral Okonkwo's expression didn't change. Open a channel, all frequencies. The viewscreen flickered to life, showing a Korvax commander, a chitinous being with compound eyes and mandibles that clicked with aristocratic disdain. Unknown vessels, you are interfering with an internal Imperium matter. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Okonkwo leaned forward in her chair. This is Admiral Sarah Okonkwo of the United Earth Defense Force. The beings aboard the Twilight Prayer have requested asylum under the Terran Refugee Protection Act. We are taking them into our custody. Stand down. The Korvax commander's mandibles spread in what might have been laughter. Earth, we have no record of your species. You will move aside or you will be. We're done talking, Okonkwo interrupted. Tactical, light them up. The Korvax had never fought humans before. They had no frame of reference for understanding what they faced. Human ships moved with disturbing agility, their pilots executing maneuvers that should have liquefied their crews from G-forces. Human weapons hit with kinetic energies that defied conventional shielding. Human tactics were chaotic, unpredictable, built on millennia of warfare against equally cunning opponents. The Korvax fought with precision, humans fought with fury. The battle lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, 4 Korvax frigates were disabled, drifting hulks leaking atmosphere. The other 2 had retreated into hyperspace, carrying news of something the Imperium had never encountered: effective resistance. Jiggy worked frantically to establish communication with the Twilight Prayer as human rescue shuttles deployed. The Yalari captain appeared on screen, a being with iridescent skin and eyes that shimmered with tears. You came, the captain whispered. We didn't think, no one has ever. We're humans, Jiggy said simply. When someone calls for help, we answer. The extraction took 6 hours. Every Yalari refugee was brought aboard human vessels, given medical care, food, safety. Children, small beings with luminous patterns on their skin, clung to their parents, wide-eyed at the strange, heavy-gravity creatures that moved among them with gentle efficiency. Alex found Jiggy in one of the refugee processing areas, watching a human medic treat a wounded Yalari elder. The council's already voted, he said quietly. Full asylum. We're establishing a colony for them in the Ross 128 system. And the Korvax. Alex's smile was grim. The message we're sending back with their survivors is simple. Humanity is now active in galactic affairs. Any species seeking refuge from oppression will find sanctuary with us, and anyone who tries to stop us will learn why we're the galaxy's newest Deathworld species. 3 months later, Jiggy sat in her office at the newly established Terran Diplomatic Corps. The Yalari were settling into their new home. 17 other species had sent preliminary contact requests. The galaxy was waking up to the fact that Earth existed. And the Korvax Imperium, for the first time in 11,000 years, was afraid. A single distress call had changed everything. Humanity had been content to sleep, isolated in its corner of the galaxy, but someone had asked for help, someone had called out to the void. And the Deathworlders had mobilized. Alex appeared in her doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee, ready for another long shift monitoring alien communications. Jiggy grinned, always, who knows what we'll hear next. Outside her window, Earth turned in its orbit, a small blue world that had just announced its presence to the cosmos, not with conquest, not with threats, with compassion. And the galaxy would never be the same. And